I bet I can guess if you're wearing a golf polo that isn't ours. I'm pretty confident I can guess the blend. So if you want to try something different, something that if you wear it around with a cashmere sweater or with jeans, it has a natural drape. It looks proper across all these different high-end materials, but still really feels good when you play golf and you forget about it, then I think that's you're the right person.
Out on the range where legends are born. This is the Mully Reserve, stories from the frontier.
All right, welcome to the Mully Reserve podcast, the only place where you're going to get a deep dive into emerging golf brands from the industry, people you've heard of, people you may not have heard of, but certainly will. And we're looking forward today to interviewing and bringing to you Morning People Clothiers.
The first thing that attracted me to Morning People is really the simple approach that they take to high quality apparel. The thing I'm most excited about with Morning People is the way that they do simple exceptionally well. Golf merchandise can get extremely loud and material itself can't always feel great. The products that Morning People puts out are exceptionally high quality, and they're made from somebody who was a college golfer. This is somebody who was sitting on a golf course for 6 hours a day in Minnesota summers with high humidity going, I want something else. Nick was able to take that stuff and start to build the products that he himself wanted to see out in the marketplace. And the quality, the build quality, the look, the feel all reflect that mission.
Yeah, I think that's something that we at Mully all appreciate is people who can do simple things really well, having that attention to detail. So I'm excited to meet Nick and learn more about kind of how he got onto this journey, going from college golf to building a business, and how that's helped him kind of navigate all the challenges that we navigate as well.
So Nick, thanks for joining today on the Mully Reserve Spotlight. For those of you who haven't encountered Nick yet or Morning People, Nick has an upstart brand, a golf brand called Morning People Clothiers. We wanted to spend a few minutes here getting to know Nick and giving him the opportunity to tell us more about Morning People, clothes, background, and just everything that is Morning People. So Nick, we can just kind of start off.
We started Morning People basically out of a desire to create products that I wanted selfishly. Morning People is really a golf-centric brand, and I have a background playing golf at a competitive level. I played in college up in the Midwest here in the United States. And after I graduated, I realized a lot of the polos that I had from my team or just from Dick's Sporting Goods, they didn't quite meet what I was hoping to utilize as I matured. Things that had really soft textures like cashmeres, nice wools. We started Morning People primarily to try to find fabrics and golf wear that was super high quality, really soft, yet still stood up to competitive golf. We didn't want to choose between a luxurious feel and performance in the heat. So that's the foundation of our company, is to try to blend the two and find the balance.
Awesome.
What was your background before? Did you have a background in apparel or fabrics or anything that kind of helped you as you were thinking about designing what materials to use, things like that?
Yeah, I worked in clothing previously. Most recently, I was working in corporate America on the financial side. Yeah, but I worked in and around the golf industry for a number of years, and then just organically playing golf for a number of years as well. So I have people in my network that help me along the way, and we've been really thrilled with the fabrics that we've come to. It's a lot of testing. Getting the right fabric takes forever. It's a time-intensive process and it's an expensive process. And we're really trying to provide a fabric that pretty much nobody else is using. And at the moment, that's the case.
Can you talk a little bit more about the fabric that you guys have landed on here? Because I'm wearing the shirt again today. I'm putting it through the stress test of back-to-back days of working in our warehouse, going home with 3 kids, throwing it on again.
Not the washer test yet, though.
Not the washer test. Would love to hear how you landed on it because it feels great. And really, I haven't wanted to take it off.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what I love to hear. That warms my heart because, like I said, it took a long time to get to that fabric. I think the easy way out for some apparel is to try to choose either comfort, a natural look, or they go with the really technical route. And so those two routes tend to be two different fabrics. Usually, when it's the softer stuff, it's really cotton heavy. You'll often see a composition 92% cotton with maybe a touch of spandex, maybe not. On the opposite side, the more technical fabrics that are purely performance, they're generally almost 100% polyester, maybe a 90% polyester with a little bit of spandex in it as well. And so the process for us, I just wanted something that really felt natural. I didn't want any slippery or shiny odd synthetics. I wanted it to be as natural as possible. And so our process started with us working with a craftsman in South Korea and going through a bunch of the different options. There's a lot of ways that they can knit golf wear, both in weight, both in gauge, both in composition. And for us, it just happened to be war test a ton of the different patterns, and we found our composition that is a fairly equal balance of cotton and the polyester. So a little bit of both the natural feel and the performance, and then we wanted to include spandex to make sure that it was nice and stretchy. So those three, that's really what we're trying to deliver is balance in most ways, especially in our fabric. So you do get some of that cotton softness, but you get some of the heat performance from the polyester, so it still wicks some moisture away.
Can you kind of talk through the process of constructing that or that coming to be?
Yeah, our collar was a labor of love. In market, there are a lot of fairly extreme collars. Some brands do an ultra spread if the top button is here. Some brands may do a spread where the peaks are fairly horizontal this way and up. Kind of more old school would be peaks that are much lower, like a very pointed collar. And we wanted our collar shape, one, to be a very heritage style, and two, we wanted it to be really resilient. So on the style, our goal for our whole catalog is for our clothing to look correct and look proper today and in 10 years. There's some hype things that are going on right now that we think are really cool. That's not really what we're interested in producing. So we wanted the collar to really stand the test of time. And then part of that is the resilience. So that's part of the fabric composition as well to try to make sure that where we're having those stitches, how long we are making it, we didn't want to have it look gross and waffly over time. We've washed ours a million times, so we're confident it'll survive the wash test. So we wanted it to get that shape correct so that when you're wearing it, it sits nice and high. You don't get the heavy droop that sometimes happens and it will pull the polo right by that button. We're trying to keep integrity, the silhouette and the resilience and the style.
How do you think about fit?
Our fit is fairly specific. We prefer, so our perspective is we want it to perform on the golf course first. With that means it cuts out a lot of the either the super, super tight that some brands might do, and it also cuts out a lot of the kind of more popular now, really billowy shapes. Wear testing gave us a lot of experience to try out different fits. And we found that when it's really drapey, really large, it tended to, and so that's because of out of necessity. Nobody, I think they might think it looks okay, but they're always pulling it up because they intuitively know it's getting in the way. And we wanted our fit to not get in the way. So we want to highlight our golfers and let the game do the talking. So our fit is more on the tailored side. So it's a little bit slimmer throughout the body and through the sleeve as well. So nothing extreme in either direction, but probably compared to kind of some of the incumbent brands, perhaps a little bit more slim.
It's funny you mentioned the sleeve thing. Like when I picture old school golf polos, like when I was growing up, when we were growing up, it was like they always fit big baggy sleeves. And I
Yeah,
never understood that. It doesn't look good and it also doesn't help performance. So why was that decision made? No
it's a
sense.
choice. Some people think that looks really cool, and there's probably a place for it. My perspective is I don't know if it's ultimately the most flattering look. Even somebody that's ripped you almost can't even tell because they're just drowning in fabric. And beyond the golf, we're trying to build flattering looks for people across the board. And so things like sleeve length are really important, sleeve diameter.
I need that.
I do too. That's why we're making it.
How long ago did you start Morning People? Is it just you? Who else is involved? Would love to
Yeah.
hear a little bit about kind of the business side of things.
Yeah. Well, a couple partners and I, we first ideated back in fall of 2019. And we were getting fabric samples back then. So it's been a long time coming. And the fall of 2019 into the early spring of 2020 was not a great time to do entrepreneurial businesses. And so we shelved it and explored other avenues and ventures. And then in 2024, so it's been about 2 years since we revisited the idea. Frankly, I thought that another company would step in into the niche that we were hoping to carve out and deliver what we were hoping to produce. And in that time, it didn't happen. And we figured we'd restart it and try to produce the products that we were still wanting to buy that we couldn't find.
How many samples did you guys go through?
Oh gosh, I started categorizing them and then gave up. So too many samples. The things that we're sampling, there's fabric composition. We wore test one sample in particular that I was crazy about. So we went through a lot of samples. It's a great excuse to get on the golf course so that you can test it out because that's the ultimate purpose is it has to be golfable.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So the timeline, you said you ideated around COVID era, put it on pause, 2024, re-kicked off the project. When was your first line of polos dropped? And if you could walk us through what that looks like, and then where do you think you're going from here? Are you guys going to make sweaters? Just curious about where we are today and where you think it's going to go.
Yeah. Our first launch was October of 2025. So we've only been in market for a few months now, close to half a year or so. And it's been really exciting. It took over 2 years to get there. And so the reception has been really encouraging. And one of the things that's always tough about doing an entrepreneurial business like this is you hope the resonance is there. It's been exciting that we get to hear from really positive voices that they're excited about what we're doing. And where we're going from here is we're looking to expand our catalog. So right now I finalized one of our summer colors that we're going to be expanding with. It's this beautiful peacock green. And so we're going to be coming out with additional colors for the polos, additional hat types, as well as different creative. And then long term, we're finalizing our layering pieces as well. So we're thinking we want to expand our premium feel into sweaters. So we're going to be looking forward to launching a number of different sweaters this year so that late summer, looking into the fall. I'm from Minnesota, so the fall starts super early and it's not that long until winter, but we're looking into having some layering pieces as well. We want to provide really great high quality staples from polos to hats to sweaters.
Where are you now? Are you still in Minnesota?
Yep. Yeah. In the Minneapolis area.
Cool.
So I was going through the background a little bit. I don't think people have a clear view into what playing golf in college was like even just a few years ago versus today. It's this massive industry. Tournaments are constantly televised, things like that. For some of our members who have kids or younger adults that are our members and are playing constantly, do you mind just giving a little background of your experience there and how that's shaped who you are today, how you go through your business at Morning People? And
I am passionate about junior golf. I think it's such a great sport that teaches a lot of difficult lessons that are super necessary. I've dealt with a ton of failure on the golf course. I'm confident that helps out long term. My story into golf, I got it like many men from my dad. He passed it down to me. I grew up actually playing baseball primarily throughout high school. And I kind of kept golf at arm's length for quite a long time until I needed a knee surgery from baseball, and that cut my career short. And I picked the next sport that was going to be in the spring, which was golf. And then the look into college golf. Now I'm sure this is even outdated, but advice, I think it's so important for kids to get exposure to a number of different sports. Right now, I think a lot of kids are encouraged to specialize at really young ages. And I know for me, I really did specialize in baseball in a lot of ways. And I don't know how helpful that is. I think for as long as kids can, I think it's a great thing for them to play as many sports as they're interested in. I think both from an injury prevention standpoint, from a cross training standpoint, especially with golf. I've golfed with amazing hockey players, professional hockey players that can stripe it. It's not like they played golf for forever. They developed the coordination from other sports that I think is super useful. And I think with these college kids now, they're coming out and they grew up playing basketball, hockey, golf, and other sports, tennis, and it can really help leapfrog some of the natural development for these kids. So if it's something that you want to pursue, you want to pursue college golf, summer tournaments are great. Playing other sports is great. And as long as you have fun, I think that's the main component because it's an easy sport to get burned out with. So try to keep it fun.
What's your favorite competitive golf memory?
Oh, man. As odd as it sounds, my collegiate career was very underwhelming. If you looked up how well I played in college, you would not be very impressed at all. And so interestingly, I did have one of my favorite memories was towards the end of my career, and I was playing catch with a college roommate of mine at the time outside in Minnesota. The spring, the weather's horrible for pretty much the entire time except for one day every 3 weeks, and it was a great day outside. I was playing catch with my roommate and ended up breaking a finger on my right hand. And we had a tournament that upcoming weekend, so my coach isn't thrilled. But the positive thing was that it actually was going to be right around 35 degrees or so. So one of my favorite memories was having a numb finger and a numb hand with that cold weather and actually playing the best round I did in my collegiate career. So I was like, golf can be like that, just odd things. And honestly, now one of the things that I love doing is just playing in scrambles with my buddies. You don't have to necessarily win, but it's fun to still mix it up, get the heart rate racing a little bit. I think for a lot of people that don't play high level amateur golf, scrambles can still be so fun where you get a taste of that, of the endorphins, the adrenaline, hitting putts that matter. I think it's a great way to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that is it's one of the few competitive sports you can do as you get older, right? And kind of it's tough to get 18 guys together to go play baseball. It's more that point. With starting Morning People, can you walk me through a situation where maybe either your most trying moment as a founder with the business here or one of the most exciting moments that you've had?
I think for Morning People, we wanted to do our golf apparel the right way, which entailed us pretty much getting a bespoke fabric and designing the entire polo. Every measurement on there is from our design. Everything on the graphic side is our design. So literally it's really a one-stop shop for us. We didn't outsource. We're not drop shipping. We're not doing any of that stuff that might be more in vogue right now. Getting that first polo sample back in the fabric that we had figured out we wanted and putting it on, that was extremely gratifying because it really felt, hey, we can actually do this. This polo rocks. Like you work on it so hard and getting it in your fingerprint is just a really gratifying experience. That said, the whole process was probably delayed up almost 6 months based on getting our collar dimension right, the circumference of the collar. That was the most trying component, I think, throughout this whole thing. Getting the collar just right where we wanted it to not be super large and bulky and not be super tight where if you buttoned it up, it would strangle you. Getting that collar right was really a labor of love. We knew with the fabric, conveying everything with the collar, with all the different measurements that go into a collar, there's probably 10 to 12. Getting all those little variables correct took a lot of time, but we're happy with how it came out.
Yeah, I love the attention to detail. It's very clear. And even just to take the collar example, if a collar looks like that, where it keeps its form, generally I find that it feels way too rigid. And if it's not rigid, what they do is they fall loose and all over the place. You thread the needle where it stays rigid, but it also feels good. And I think that is totally in line with what you're describing of wanting a polo where it performs, but also has the style element, which I think is such a cool spot to play in. Part of this and why we do it, we like introducing people to the coolest brands in golf, emerging golf brands, people they should know about if they don't already. Aside from stuff that we've already covered, and not to mention, there's so many golf brands out there today that Jack and I talked to, and it's clear that they just went to Alibaba.com, threw their logo on something. What would you say is the core value proposition? Why should Mully members be excited to try Morning People? Why should someone maybe watching this episode, what should be the main reason that you think that someone should try you guys out?
I think it's really a number of different things, but I can boil them down into kind of our main value proposition is just a really luxurious fabric that is really just excellent in the heat. I think those two components inform everything else that we do. We really want to cater to those that are aware of what they like and really want to enjoy their products on the course and off the course. We didn't really want to go with that approach. We wanted to be golf first. And so I think for our products, you really have to feel them. I bet I can guess if you're wearing a golf polo that isn't ours, I'm pretty confident I can guess the blend. So if you want to try something different, something that if you wear it around with a cashmere sweater or with jeans, it has a natural drape, it looks proper across all these different high-end materials, but still really feels good when you play golf and you forget about it, then I think that's you're the right for amazing. And we don't lead with our price because we don't think that's what we deliver, but we want to fit in a space where we're at an accessible position where if people want to try it out, they can. We didn't want it to be a super cost prohibitive thing. There are enough $150 polos out in the market. We didn't need to be another one.
And I think Jack and I can say confidently, like people who put your level of detail into the curation, the manufacturing, material selection, you're priced really well. That's a really good deal to get the level of quality that you guys are bringing. So just, yeah, I think it's a good spot.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's our goal. Working directly with customers is our primary vertical, but we're really excited to work with Mully and see if we can establish a relationship and expand because we want to deliver something that resonates both to your customers and ours.
Cool.
So a couple other kind of questions here. It's more like open-ended, fun stuff, right? So PGA Championship week. Who do you like? Who do you not like? What do you think of Aronimink? Give me your kind of full spiel here on a PGA
Sure.
Championship week.
It's always hard to guess who you think will play well versus who you really want to play well. I am a big fan of Jordan Spieth. I love the ups and downs, the drama that he brings. If I'm picking a winner, I might pick somebody like Xander. I think he had a little bit of injury issues early this year, late last year. And I think from an off the tee perspective, he hits it so straight and he's really picked up distance ever since he started. When he won his first two majors, it was pretty obvious. But I think somebody like him, he's due to turn it around. He's been putting bad this year relative to his normal. He's usually an elite putter. So if he putts average, I think he has a really good chance at winning at Aronimink. I think that course sets up well for him where at his length, he can really start to pick it apart. And at some level, when you hit it as far as some of those longer guys do, like him, some of the other conversations like the rough and things like that start to matter a little bit less. So if he can put it well and he can hit it straight, I think he's going to be a good option.
Yeah. How do you feel about Rory kind of bringing out I feel like they're like, everyone gets so upset when they say it, but he said it's a bomb. He can bomb and gouge the course.
Yeah. And it's a really difficult problem for the golf industry to solve for these major championships. I saw Cam Young is playing a prototype Titleist ball. And I read yesterday that his ball would qualify or it would be compliant with the new ball rules that they're proposing. And so I know figuring this stuff out is tough. I don't have a great solution for it. If I were to put my hat in a ring on something, it'd be reducing driver head size at the pro level, not the amateur level, but exclusively the pros. Personally, I'm always a fan of seeing them tighten it in a little bit, make it a little bit less bomb and gougey, perhaps doing that with some of the green sizes, but it's a natural progression of the sport. I think these college kids, we talked about college players now, I think it's going to become the benchmark of carrying the driver 300 in the air in the next 5 years or so. I think the top level guys, they all do it already, and increased distance is going to continue happening.
Yeah. So for your pick, is it Xander? Because if Xander wins, what we'll do is we'll send a reserve box for free. It's our $250 quarterly box to anybody you choose there. So if Xander's your pick that you're locking in there, we'll honor that on our end. If they win, you can pick and choose who gets a free Mully reserve box.
Yeah, let's do it. Xander is my pick. I'm locking him in.
Okay, sounds good.
Do I get a pick?
Sure. Technically, we can send boxes to anybody for free.
What if I want a different price?
That's fine. That's fine.
All right. To be
Who's
determined.
yours?
I think Cam Young would be my pick. He fits that same bill of hits the ball real far, but he's also been playing great, and I think I could see him making a run.
It's boring, but I think the same. He grew up on Sleepy Hollow. Like, he's one of the best on Donald Ross courses. He has this magic trick of a caddy who just reads everything for him, and he
Yes.
doesn't have to think about it, which is pretty nice.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like his college roommate, I think, or close college friend, who he just
Just an
called up
elite
and-
green reader.
He said he's the best green reader in the world, and it's his buddy.
Yeah.
That works out.
Yes, his old teammate. He was thinking about who's the best green. He made some changes on the greens. Who's the best green reader I know? He thought back. It was actually my buddy from years ago in college. Brought him on the bench.
Wow. Worked out for him.
Yeah, I saw the rollback thing with him as well, and it's like his driving average distance is the exact same. Maybe it's a yard difference, but you look at it, the shot of the entire year is his drive at the Players. It's longest drive in tournament history. And I don't know if he was playing the rollback ball at that point, but I think he was.
Yeah, it was.
And so you go, how does this answer? I know your suggestion is smaller driver heads. There's also the camp of not going to the old Bellata ball, but a spinnier ball that doesn't really allow for as much control on, as much forgiveness, I should say, on a drive. What's your thought on the spin versus equipment change?
Okay. I'm an equipment sicko. So I have to address Cam Young's drive at the Players down the stretch. I was on the grounds that week. So I've been to the Players a number of times, and that drive hit on 18 was borderline lunacy.
Were you there for that shot?
I was not there for that tee shot.
Okay.
No. But literally nobody is even looking where he's landing this ball. I think back to when Ricky won it and he hit an iconic drive. I think it was 2015. Straight down the pipe. I think his finished 320. Cam Young's covering that thing by 40 yards. So on the spin front, I think with the manufacturers, it's a really difficult ask, I think, for the USGA to ask them to make a change. I think a simpler avenue would be the driver head size. I think that we know MOI is capped, but they're finding kind of ways to build in functional MOI with spin retention and otherwise, and start line correction. I think reducing that size, it would have to be fairly dramatic, but I think that would be one of the first steps. I think it's a difficult one, and we don't want to penalize people for getting longer, but I think that would be my preference for where they would start.
What does that do when you make the driver head smaller? Just does it make the sweet spot smaller?
Yeah, it would make the sweet spot smaller so that in theory, the penalty for missing would be exponentially larger. And so they could actually go back and use some of the strokes gained data from that they've been developing over at MIT and Columbia, where the recommendation now is to never hit a through it off a tee, basically.
My stance on it personally is I like being able to hit it far. Not that I can hit it far, so let me rephrase that. I like watching people hit it far. So if there's a fix and it's like there's a bigger penalty for if you mishit it, I would be in favor of that, because you still get both elements of you still have to be accurate, have control, but also if you can bomb it, then you get an advantage. And I think that's part of the game.
I know Ricky's talked about it before, and I don't know if you've seen this, Nick, but I think it's where he'll play with Michael Jordan at his course that he designed. But what Michael Jordan did, I can't drive the ball 320. So every fairway pinches off at 275. And so Ricky's giving strokes but he's not able to actually use the advantage he has to capitalize on the fact that he's a better player. Because ultimately, they're both going to be hitting their next shot from the same distance on that point.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I think Jack and Drew, you both touched on it. One of the big issues with the distance is the golf courses themselves. I think there's a lot of golf courses right now that the PGA Tour plays that may work for the PGA Tour, but maybe don't work quite so well for the general public or the country club or otherwise. And I think that's an ultimate balance of them trying to keep courses that are historic really relevant, that may have been designed in an era when they never imagined people hitting it this far, and they also didn't maybe have as much nuance. Because there are some kind of short golf courses that still really stand the test of time, like Marion, and even if they're tricking them up more in the Northeast for US Opens and things, it's a difficult problem that they're trying to solve. So I'm glad that we're not in that business.
I very much agree on that fact. I think kind of two last things here as we wrap up. If you look forward 10 years from now, what does success look like for Morning People and yourself?
I think having people try our product and get really excited about it would be something that would be extremely satisfying. Seeing our product out on the golf course without us knowing about it and just stumbling upon it, I think would be really cool. One of our goals is to support competitive golfers. And I think right now in golf, there are so many new golfers entering the space. I think it's amazing because the sport, I think, can afford to grow. I think there's space for all different kinds of golfers, whether they're very advanced or whether they're brand new. With our niche, we want to support people that are serious about the game. So, regardless of handicap, we want to support people that are trying to play their best. I want to support people and show them the golf when you're trying your best and you're trying to push your best score ever. That can be a lot of fun. That can be another part of the game that you can really enjoy. And so trying to support that larger mission of people getting out and playing better than they ever have and really enjoying what they wear and taking pride in kind of themselves as golfers, I think is one of our big missions. And so that would be a big success, would be more people trying our things, getting excited and getting into the game in a very deliberate and serious way so that they can really kind of experience everything it has to offer. Because I have and we have as a company, and we're really excited about it.
So right now you have three colors in the profile. I know you said you have the peacock green coming. So aside from the peacock green of the three colors, which one's your favorite to wear at this point?
Mine is the lavender. It's this lavender purple. It's not screaming in your face purple. It's very refined. It looks great under a black sweater like I'm wearing. It pairs great with gray, blacks, tans. It's an amazing color. I think people, a lot of men in general, they default to a nice like Oxford blue, which looks great. We're trying to provide an alternative to that, which would be this purple. I'm from Minnesota, so I had to have some purple in the company, and that's why it was part of one of our initial launch colors.
We have three of the four NFC North participants here presented. Nick, thank you for doing our first Mully Reserve Spotlight. I hope excited to work together more in the future. And for our members, Morning People will be represented in our first ever Mully Reserve drop. So go to the store, take a look what's there, and we know you'll love the product just as much as we do.
Yeah, thanks so much. From everybody at Morning People, I'm really excited about it. We're really excited about it. We love what you're doing at Mully. So this is exciting.